Hi, my name's Jenny Castle, and I'm with the Rose Center for the Arts at Lower Columbia College. I'm here today talking with Danielle Dean, a photographic artist living on the San Juan Islands in Washington. Hi, Danielle. Thank you for agreeing to do an interview today.
Definitely. Thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to my show coming up at the Rose Center.
We're excited to have you. To start the interview, can you tell me a little bit about your background and when you knew you were going to be an artist?
So I was very fortunate to have artistic parents and parents that really inspired creativity. They have baby pictures of me like drawing, when I was a toddler and running around taking pictures with my Big Bird camera when I was in diapers. So it's kind of funny. It's hard for me to like separate art from my life because it was always a part of it. I grew up in Toledo, Ohio, and we had the Toledo Museum of Art, which was really influential. And I would take art classes there. My dad was a sign painter, so I grew up at his sign shop. And so I always did some kind of combination of drawing. And then when I was a teenager, about like 14, I started to get into photography and darkroom work. So it's been definitely a theme through my life.
So it started really young and it's influenced your life a lot. What types of decisions did you make to try to secure a life where you could be a creative professional?
Um, I think that there was just this inner knowing that that was my, one of my gifts that I could pursue, and that maybe just being a bit naive, I just kept pursuing it. So I chose to go to a 4-year art school. I went to the Columbus College of Art and Design right out of high school. Um, and then, like most artists, just figuring out how to keep creating work and making a living. So sometimes there's often quite a bit of weaving, studio photography, professional photography. I do websites for artists, so things like that help me pay the bills on top of gallery exhibitions that help keep me constantly creating.
So your personal studio practice, I see some of your work in the background, is photographic based, but you also do some charcoal drawing and acoustic work, correct?
Yes, yes.
But most of the work that you're making right now is about the place that you live, and the fact that that place is very important to you. Can you talk a little bit more about that and why you're so connected to the place that you live?
Yeah, definitely. So when I graduated from my undergrad in 2003, I moved to San Juan Island, which is a ferry service island in Washington State. And I always loved the ocean. I definitely had an infinity for the sea, and I wanted to move to someplace I could be close to the water and an artist community. So I spent quite a few years just being here, creating, getting to really know the sense of place in this kind of isolated small community. It's really easy to get involved with like environmental issues. You get to know the southern resident killer whales that are in the area. I swim in the sea. I get suited up in a full wetsuit and get into the water out here. And I also, of course, it's just easy to be a part of the landscape with like hiking, and we have so many national parks and conserved land. So I didn't realize how much that influenced my artwork until I went to grad school in Boston, at Massachusetts College of Art and Design. And I was really open to my work developing in all sorts of ways, but I kept returning to the sense of place here and how much that had affected me. I had lived here for 11 years. And I just realized that being a part of the landscape the way that we are able to be on this island was deeply inspiring and something that I felt like I could bring out into the world, especially when I was living in the city. So that experience of actually being removed from the place made me realize how important it is to talk about the sense of place and also the environment.
So you're living on an island. You lived there for 11 years and then moved to Boston, very different place, but then you chose to move back to this island. So I'm sure you feel secluded, in positive and negative ways, while you're making art. What do you do to continue to be inspired? Are you looking at any other artists? Do you spend a lot of time in nature? How do you push your art practice forward in a place like that?
Definitely. It's really easy being in this removed location to just kind of forget about what's happening in the bigger art world. And especially if you think about like this type of location versus living on a very different island like Manhattan. Manhattan, you can just be constantly in the, center of the art world. So I travel as much as I can. I try to go to big international art shows. I had an opportunity to teach in India, which was incredible. I loved working with the students there and also visiting. They have a Biennale in Fort Kochi. Um, I I travel to New York. I also go on artist residencies. So I did one in Oregon at the Sitka Center for Arts, Science and Arts. Oh no, what is it? Arts and Ecology. But that's on the Oregon coast. And then also I recently did a residency at Mass MoCA in North Adams. And that's this incredible contemporary museum where you get to really immerse yourself in this whole museum, see what work's being currently made and celebrated, and then you have a studio on campus. So I think removing myself and going to places where there's a vibrant art community really helps. When I'm here and creating, I definitely keep up with what's happening with my fellow artists and the arts community through like Instagram. I follow mostly artists and museums on Instagram. I also love art books. I say it's like an art book problem, an art book addiction that just happen to order too many art books because when you can't get to a major museum, it's a wonderful resource. So whether I get them from the library or have them in my own home and studio, that's a source of inspiration too.
So we need to wrap up soon and let you get back to your day. But before we leave, do you have any advice to offer to young art students who might be watching this video?
Yeah, definitely. I think I feel like my best advice is to study and pay attention to what's happening in contemporary art and also be able to reference art of the past. So I think studying is important and then also to always keep in touch with what makes you happy, like with your art, like what makes your heart sing. There are many different trends in art and uh, things come in and out of fashion, but if you keep to your voice and think about the long-term career, that'll set you up for happiness in your work.
Um, Thank you, Danielle. Danielle Dean will be showing at the Forsberg Art Gallery in September of this year, 2020. And you can view her work on her website, danielledean.com, and on Instagram at ddeanphoto. Danielle, thank you for doing this interview today.
All right. Thank you, Jenny. Looking forward to seeing you guys in September.